If you are managing your health carefully after 60, watching what you eat, maybe keeping your blood sugar in check, doing everything your doctor has recommended, I need you to stay right here. Because what I am about to share with you is the conversation most American doctors genuinely want to have with you, but rarely get the time for in a 15-minute appointment. 4 foods, not junk food, not fast food, foods in your kitchen right now. Foods that every major health organization, including the ones you trust, has told American seniors are good for you. And for someone with fully healthy kidneys, they are fine. But once you cross 60, once your blood sugar has even started to climb, those exact same foods can be working against your kidneys, quietly, without a single warning sign. No pain, no swelling, nothing. The first time most Americans find out is when a number on a routine lab report has already moved too far in the wrong direction. I am Dr. Grace Wells. I am a kidney and diabetes health educator, and for the past 15 years, I have worked specifically with older adults across the country. I have sat across from people in their 60s and 70s, careful, health-conscious Americans who ended up facing dialysis. Not because they ignored their health, because the specific information they needed never reached them. Today, it reaches you. Before I walk you through these 4 foods, I want you to do one thing right now. Drop a comment below and tell me this. Have you ever been told, even once, that your kidney numbers were slightly off? Just write yes, told, or no, never checked. That answer is going to matter more than you realize, and I will show you exactly why before this video ends. Stay with me. The next few minutes may be the most important health information you have seen in years. Let me tell you about Margaret. Margaret was 67 years old, a retired school nurse from Columbus, Ohio, a woman who understood health better than most of my patients. She was managing type 2 diabetes with diet alone, no insulin. Her blood pressure was steady. She walked 4 mornings a week. She was, by every standard measure, doing the right things. At a routine physical, her doctor ran a standard blood panel. Her creatinine came back slightly elevated. On its own, not alarming. But when her eGFR was calculated, her estimated glomerular filtration rate, the actual measure of how well her kidneys are filtering, the number was 53. Above 60 is considered healthy. 53 places you in stage 3I chronic kidney disease. Her doctor told her to watch her sodium and come back in 6 months. So Margaret went home and did what a careful, educated woman does. She researched. She added more fruit. Potassium, she had read, was good for blood pressure. She switched from white to whole grain bread because her diabetes nutritionist had recommended it for blood sugar control. She started drinking a sports drink on her morning walks for electrolytes. She made homemade soup using low-fat canned chicken broth. 6 months later, she came back. Her eGFR had dropped from 53 to 39. In 6 months, 1 full stage deeper into kidney disease, closer to dialysis. When I reviewed her food diary, I had to take a moment before I spoke, because from the outside, it looked responsible, considered, the kind of food choices a thoughtful diabetic American senior would make. But for someone with Margaret's actual kidney function, it was accelerating the damage. She looked at me and said, "I was trying to protect myself." "You were," I told her. "That is exactly the problem. The rules change after 60. They shift again when your blood sugar is involved. And nobody put those 2 sets of rules together for you. We made specific, targeted changes." Over the 18 months that followed, Margaret's eGFR stabilized at 43. It did not reverse. Kidney damage at this stage almost never does, but it stopped progressing. She is still managing her own health, still cooking her own meals, still walking. That independence is everything. So what is actually happening inside your kidneys, and why does getting older, especially with diabetes, change everything. Here is what most Americans never hear until it becomes personally urgent. After age 40, kidney function naturally declines by roughly 1% every year. The National Kidney Foundation's data shows that by the time you reach your 70s, you may have already lost 25 to 30% of your filtering capacity with zero symptoms. No pain, no swelling, no warning, just a number on a lab report moving silently in the wrong direction. Now add diabetes. Diabetic kidney disease, also called diabetic nephropathy, is the leading cause of kidney failure in the United States. The CDC estimates that 1 in 3 American adults with diabetes will develop chronic kidney disease. That number climbs significantly after 60. High blood sugar, sustained over time, damages the tiny blood vessels inside your kidneys, the very ones responsible for filtration. So your kidneys may already be managing natural age-related decline and diabetes-related damage simultaneously. And then certain foods enter the picture. That combination is what nobody explains clearly enough. There are 4 mechanisms that struggling kidneys handle worst. The first is phosphorus. Your kidneys are responsible for clearing phosphorus from your bloodstream. As function declines, that process becomes impaired and phosphorus accumulates, a condition called hyperphosphatemia, which the Journal of the American Society of Nephrology has directly linked to accelerated kidney deterioration and serious vascular damage. The most dangerous form is not the natural phosphorus in whole foods. It is inorganic phosphorus, the kind added to processed foods as a preservative. Your body absorbs inorganic phosphorus at 90 to nearly 100%, compared to 40 to 60% for the naturally occurring kind. That difference does not appear on any nutrition label in America. The second is potassium regulation. Healthy kidneys maintain potassium at a precisely safe level in your blood. When kidney function drops, excess potassium can no longer be cleared efficiently, and it builds up to levels that trigger dangerous heart rhythm problems. The American Heart Association has documented this connection clearly. The painful irony for American seniors is this: the foods most heavily promoted for heart health, bananas, avocados, oranges, are among the highest potassium foods you can eat. The third is protein load. High-protein meals force your kidneys to dramatically increase their filtration rate to manage the metabolic byproducts. In healthy kidneys, that is manageable. In kidneys already under stress, especially kidneys affected by diabetes, this repeated pressure, called glomerular hyperfiltration, accelerates the breakdown of your kidneys' filtering units. Research in the Clinical Journal of the American Society of Nephrology has established a clear link between high protein intake and faster kidney decline when function is already compromised. This matters enormously for seniors who have been told to eat more protein to preserve muscle. That recommendation changes the moment your eGFR drops below 60. The fourth is sodium. As kidney function falls, your body's ability to flush excess sodium falls with it. Sodium accumulates, fluid is retained, blood pressure rises, and elevated blood pressure causes further kidney damage. A self-reinforcing cycle. The CDC has consistently identified sodium as one of the primary dietary drivers of kidney disease progression in American adults. Now I want to hear from you. Have you ever received specific guidance, actual numbers, concrete food restrictions, after being told your kidney function was off? Or were you sent home with watch your diet and nothing else? Comment below, specific guidance, or no real details. In 15 years of this work, that gap is where I see the most preventable damage accumulate. Let me tell you about 4 more Americans because each of them shows you a different way this unfolds. Robert was 71, a retired police officer from San Antonio, Texas, strong, disciplined, by the book about his health. His doctor had correctly advised him to prioritize protein at his age to protect his muscle mass. Robert took that seriously. Protein shakes every morning, chicken breast at every meal, protein bars for snacks. What no one had connected was that Robert's eGFR had been sitting at 56 for over a year. Enough kidney compromise that the standard protein recommendation no longer applied to him the same way. 14 months later, his eGFR had dropped to 40, a full stage of kidney disease progression while following medically accurate advice. Advice simply designed for a patient with different kidney function. He looked at me and said, "My doctor told me protein was important. How was I supposed to know?" He wasn't. That is precisely why this video exists. Sandra was 72, a grandmother from Jacksonville, Florida, who had devoted herself to heart health after her husband's bypass surgery. Avocado every day. Potassium supplements from an online article. Spinach in everything. Her doctor knew she had stage 3 BCKD. It was documented in her chart. But in a 15-minute appointment dominated by blood pressure medications and cholesterol numbers, the dietary implications of her kidney function had simply never come up. One morning, Sandra woke up with her heart racing, her arms weak, her vision closing in. In the emergency room, her potassium level was 6.5 milliequivalents per liter. The upper limit of normal is 5.0. Her heart rhythm was being disrupted. The medical team treated her successfully. But when I reviewed her case, the picture was completely clear. She had been loading her body with potassium her kidneys could not remove. "I was protecting my heart," she told me, still shaken. "I had no idea I was doing this to my kidneys." James was 76, a Korean War veteran from Richmond, Virginia, recovering from cancer treatment. During chemotherapy, his oncology team, appropriately, focused on keeping calories in him. Canned soups, sports drinks for electrolytes, packaged snacks on the hard days. Nobody flagged that his eGFR was 47. By the time treatment ended and James returned for follow-up, his eGFR had fallen to 28. Stage 4 chronic kidney disease. The phosphate additives in the canned goods, the sodium in the packaged soups, routinely 800 to 1,200 milligrams per serving, nearly half a kidney patient's entire daily sodium budget in a single bowl, had compounded over months without anyone connecting the dots. James told me he wishes someone had put it together sooner. I believe him with everything I have. Patricia was 64, newly diagnosed with type 2 diabetes in Springfield, Illinois. Her primary care team handled her referral correctly. They sent her to a registered dietitian who built her a careful, evidence-based diabetic meal plan. Whole grains, potassium-rich vegetables, lean proteins, high fiber. That is textbook diabetic nutrition for the United States. The problem was that Patricia's eGFR was 54 and her dietitian did not have that number in front of her. 3 foods on that diabetic plan, whole wheat bread, lentils, and bananas, were foods I would have told Patricia to significantly limit given her kidney function. Not bad medicine, just the real challenge of managing 2 overlapping conditions in a healthcare system where specialists do not always see the full picture. Now, the 4 foods. The first is processed and deli meats, deli turkey, ham, salami, hot dogs, packaged sausage, any cured or preserved meat you find in an American grocery store. 2 reasons these are specifically dangerous for aging kidneys. First, the sodium load. A single 2-ounce serving of deli turkey can carry 500 to 600 milligrams of sodium, right there on your lunch plate. Second, and this is the one that consistently catches my patients off guard, the phosphate preservatives. Scan the ingredient list for anything ending in phos. Sodium phosphate, disodium phosphate, phosphoric acid. Those are inorganic phosphorus. Your body absorbs them at nearly 100%. The National Kidney Foundation has specifically identified phosphate additives as one of the most significant and consistently overlooked hazards for Americans with kidney disease. Every time you eat processed deli meat, you are delivering a concentrated phosphorus hit directly to kidneys that are already struggling to clear it. The second food, and this is consistently the one that surprises my patients most, is high potassium fruits. I want to be careful here. I am not saying fruit is bad. I am saying that for anyone with an eGFR below 60, specific fruits deliver potassium loads. A compromised kidney simply cannot clear adequately. The primary ones are bananas, oranges, kiwi, and avocado. Genuinely healthy choices for someone with full kidney function and documented contributors to dangerous potassium buildup in people with CKD per research published in the Journal of Renal Nutrition. The solution is not to stop eating fruit, it is to shift. Apples, blueberries, grapes, and strawberries are significantly lower in potassium and completely kidney-friendly. A real change you can make this week. The third food is whole wheat bread and bran-based cereals. I know how that sounds. Whole grains have been the cornerstone of American health messaging for decades, and for people with fully healthy kidneys, the evidence supports that. But whole wheat bread and bran cereals are high in phosphorus, and in a form that is considerably more bioavailable than most people understand. The National Kidney Foundation's own dietary guidelines explicitly identify whole grain products as a category to limit when kidney function is compromised. This is the most common jaw-drop moment in my practice. American seniors who made the deliberate switch from white to whole wheat as a health improvement, following decades of public health advice, unknowingly increase their phosphorus burden at the worst possible time. The counterintuitive truth, when your kidney function is compromised, white bread and white rice are the better choice. I know that sounds backward. It is worth a direct conversation with your doctor once you know your eGFR number. The fourth food is canned and packaged soups and instant meals. The primary damage here is sodium, compounded by phosphate additives. A standard can of American soup, the kind sitting in millions of kitchen pantries right now, routinely delivers 800 to 1,200 milligrams of sodium per serving. The CDC identifies canned soups as one of the single largest contributors to sodium intake across the American diet. For someone with kidney disease whose safe daily sodium limit is 1,500 to 2,000 milligrams, one bowl of soup can consume more than half of that entire day's budget before anything else is eaten. The fix is real. Homemade soups using low-sodium broth or canned options specifically labeled under 140 milligrams of sodium per serving. That label exists and the options are there. You just have to look for them. Here is exactly what I want you to do this week. 7 steps, written down, specific. 1. At your very next appointment, ask for an eGFR test by name. Not just creatinine, eGFR. Write this down right now if you need to. I'd like to check my eGFR. That is the complete sentence. Every doctor who is engaged in your care will take that seriously and act on it. 2. If your eGFR comes back below 60, ask specifically for a referral to a renal dietitian, not a general nutritionist. A renal dietitian is trained specifically in kidney nutrition and will build a plan that accounts for both your kidney function and your diabetes management at the same time. That coordination is what Margaret never had. 3. Start reading ingredient labels for phosphate additives. Any ingredient containing phos, sodium phosphate, disodium phosphate, phosphoric acid, is inorganic phosphorus. Those products deserve serious reconsideration in your pantry. 4. Swap your high potassium fruits for lower potassium alternatives. Bananas become apples, oranges become blueberries. Avocado becomes a small drizzle of olive oil for your healthy fat. Small, real, completely doable this week. 5. Move toward fresh or frozen vegetables with no added salt. If you are using canned vegetables, Drain and rinse them thoroughly before cooking. That single step removes up to 40% of the sodium. It takes 30 seconds. 6. Ask your pharmacist, not just your doctor, to review your supplements. Many standard American multivitamins contain phosphorus and potassium at levels that are perfectly appropriate for healthy adults, but genuinely problematic for compromised kidneys. Your pharmacist can identify any concerns in minutes. That conversation costs nothing. 7. Bring a 1-week food diary to your next appointment. Not an app, a piece of paper. Write down what you actually eat, not what you intend to eat. It gives your doctor a realistic window into your daily diet and makes your 15-minute appointment dramatically more productive. It also makes you the most prepared patient in that practice. A few questions I hear from American seniors almost every time. How do I bring this up without my doctor thinking I'm questioning them? You are not questioning anyone. You are coming prepared. Say, I've been reading about kidney function and aging. Can we add eGFR to my next blood work? Every doctor who takes your health seriously will welcome that. It saves them time and it demonstrates exactly the kind of engaged patient they want to be working with. What if my eGFR is only a little bit below 60? Does this really apply to me? Yes, proportionally. Stage 3A is not the same as Stage 4, but it means the direction of travel deserves your attention right now. Small, early changes consistently produce far greater outcomes than larger changes made after more damage has accumulated. That window is real, it is open right now, and it matters enormously. Can changing my diet actually reverse kidney damage? In most cases beyond the very earliest stages, not fully, and I want to be honest with you about that. The goal is to slow or stop progression. American patients who make the right dietary adjustments early consistently stabilize at levels that allow them to avoid dialysis for years, sometimes decades, longer than patients who do not make those changes. For most people, that is the difference between living your life independently and sitting in a dialysis chair 3 times a week. That is not a consolation prize. For most Americans, that is everything. I want to close with something personal. My own aunt was 66 years old, a retired elementary school teacher from outside Chicago, active, thoughtful, genuinely health conscious. She was managing early type 2 diabetes with diet alone, no medications. She was eating a banana every single morning for her blood pressure. Whole wheat toast because her cardiologist had mentioned it years ago for heart health. A can of chicken soup for lunch on busy days because it was easy, low fat, and familiar. She was not being careless. She was being careful with the information she had been given. When her eGFR was finally tested, it came back at 46. She had been losing ground for years without a single symptom. We made the changes. Her numbers stabilized. She is 73 years old now, still independent, still cooking, still managing her own health every day. But I think about that number, 46, and what it would have become if we had found it a year later. Or 2. I made this video because I cannot sit across from every American over 60 who is eating carefully and still losing ground. But I can be here. Right now, I want you to do one of 3 things. Write checking my eGFR in the comments below. Or write making changes starting today. Or write sharing this with someone I love. Any one of those 3. Then share this video with your spouse, your sibling, your neighbor, your friend who is managing their diabetes and following the best advice they have been given. That share might be the most important health conversation they have this year, and it costs you nothing. And if what I shared today gave you something real, something specific and actionable to bring to your next appointment, that is exactly why this channel exists. I cover kidney health, diabetes management, and the real intersection between them for older Americans every week. The information your appointment probably did not have time to give you. I am Dr. Grace Wells, Your kidneys have been working for you every single day of your life. Let's make sure you are finally working for them. I will see you in the next one.